guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies, and you know they are really groovy. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies, and we know they are really groovy.
We are really groovy tonight. We are going to be talking about a Hollywood legend named Dustin Hoffman. You know him. You probably love him. He is, of course, a distinguished American actor, renowned for his versatility. That's the word. He's very versatile and dedication to his craft. He's an actor's actor. He trained at prestigious drama schools and quickly rose to fame. How did I not say that? And became a celebrated figure in film. Over his illustrious career, Hoffman won multiple Academy Awards for his transformative performances across a wide range of genres, solidifying his place as one of Hollywood's most respected actors. That's right. And to talk about and dissect their favorite Dustin Hoffman movies, we have your guys, Manny Zamora, Rory, the man of 1,000,000,002 voices, and special guest Alanson Charles, live from Ventura, California. Hello, and welcome to the show.
Three guys and a gal talking about movies.
Three guys and a gal tonight.
That's right, three guys.
No, it's Diane singing that song, Diane Marie Call. But
Yes.
now when I listen to that song, it feels like Renee is singing it. I don't know why.
But it's not me. It's Diane Marie Call, and we thank her for writing that. Manny, let me turn it over to you. Alrighty. You chose Dustin Hoffman, and then Alanson always said, if we do Dustin Hoffman, I want to come on. He's a big fan. So this is exciting.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm also a fan of Dustin Hoffman, and have been for many years. I'm not gonna lie and say I've seen all of his movies, but I've seen a lot of them. And I thought, we've been on this roll of some really cool, we've talked about Robert De Niro and Al Pacino and that whole generation. And Hoffman is part of that generation as well. And he's done comedies, he's done drama, he's done, fantasy, he's done horror, he's done all sorts of things. And he's just, as Renee said, he is a versatile and a versatile actor. And I like that. I like versatility. So anyway, so that's just a little short introduction. And I know, Alanson, you said that you didn't really have a list per se, like Rory and I do, but you want to kind of comment on as we go along. Is that right?
Thank you. Well, yeah, I would love to. Actually, I don't have a list, but I did have ChatGPT print out a list.
Oh, okay.
There's obviously stuff that I haven't seen every movie. He's got so many, and some things that are really obscure, but particularly, the movie that stands out the most and probably the most profound is I got to see Little Big Man when I was about 11. I guess I was 11 or 12 years old, and my mom had raised me to be very, very emotionally attached to all these kind of things. Like we were not the good guys in the stories around our tables, even though we were the classic WASP family. Mm-hmm. We didn't talk like WASP. We talked to we need more people to get included. We want inclusivity. We want to be, it's not these cowboy and Indian things that you do when you're a kid out in the woods, they're really reenactments of some really grim things. So that was always, put forward in my house. And then, so Straw Dogs and then, Midnight Cowboy, it didn't really affect me. Those are scary. That's talk about a horror film, right? What he's going through with his drug addiction and the whole thing about that. That was pretty intense, no question about it. I mean, you had to, and of course, Graduate, you had to go and look at that whole thing.
Yeah.
Over my head though. But when he became like in the range in Little Big Man was from him being a small boy all the way to he was 98 years old when he had the interview. To open up with the interview. I was the last guy. Little big whore.
For 100.
I mean, isn't that amazing? And then he turns into that kid, and just the whole range there. But it was the depth. It was the way that they treated that whole subject, and the brutality of that subject. When you see them, going into the camp and the way his relationship with grandfather is and so forth, it was just so. And I brought that movie in. I somehow got my hands on a can of that movie. I made my my freshman. It was a 7th grade class in the school that I was in. I made them watch that movie before I would even talk about American Indian history. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is like, what are you going to do? I'm going to bring it because, and after that, it was just, I got an A. I mean, obviously the smartest kid in the class, with that, that put me up. So then there's that. Okay. So, then my next movie, of course, I didn't even know who he was for half the movie. I could not see his character in the movie Hook. For my life of me, I could not see Dustin Hoffman in he was the captain, right?
Hook. Yeah.
Well, that's the brilliance. I mean, that's that.
I could not see his face in there. I couldn't see who he was. There was no Dustin Hoffman in that character. So
wait, what? He was in Hook? He was in Hook?
You see?
Are you kidding me? That wasn't him. Was that him?
That was him. See what I mean?
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy because he doesn't look or sound or anything like it's not even him. I don't even know how he did that. That's crazy.
Completely transforming, right? And of
course,
that and in Dick Tracy, same thing. He just
he was in Dick Tracy.
You see,
he was Mumbles.
What?
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go. Well, here's what we'll do. So let's go down the top 5 of the guys. There'll be a lot of overlap here because I think but let's go. Let's start with Manny as your number 1. That might dovetail with what we've already talked about. But let's see.
Okay. All right. My number 1 is The Graduate. It's one of Hoffman's early films, and just this examination, this look at this young man's life. He's trying to decide what he wants to do with his life. He's confused, and then he meets this older woman, who's the wife of this man who is his dad's business partner, and then things just get messy. She flirts with him. She seduces him. You're trying to seduce me, Mrs. Robinson. You're trying to seduce me, aren't you? And all that thing, and then he meets Catherine Ross, who's the woman's daughter, and he has a relationship with her, and it just gets crazy. He just gets sucked into this family drama, all this drama. And he's trying to navigate his way through all of this weirdness, and besides Hoffman, of course, you have the great performance from Anne Bancroft as Mrs. Robinson, and Catherine Ross as the daughter, and Murray Hamilton as the husband, and forget who plays his dad, and William Daniels, who plays Dustin Hoffman's character, his father. And yeah, just a really great movie, and really shows off his acting skill right off the bat. Like I said, it's one of his earliest performances. and you really see the talent that he had and would continue to have and continue to show in the rest of his career. So that's my number one. Rory, what's your number one?
My number one is Little Big Man. I saw it when I was a kid, and I've seen it several times throughout my life, and I just enjoy it even more every time I see it because it's just a great, wonderful transformation. There is actual footage. Dustin Hoffman is a method actor. He used to be a method actor, and to play Jack Crab, the old Indian hunter, they think he is, but he's actually because he was a little bighorn. Hoffman actually in that room that they videoed in, or a room around there, he yelled at the top of his lungs for like an hour to make it raspy. And I said, I've seen the footage of him, going back and forth to make his voice raspy so he can be Jack Crab. And again, you have all of these wonderful actors and a great ensemble. You have Faye Dunaway, you have Martin Balsam, you have Richard Mulligan as an insane Custer. And Chief Dan George. Wonderful, wonderful cast. And a great, great script. It's a wonderful script. And Hoffman's best stuff, his best work is mostly his comedy. Those are the top three on my list are comedies, really. Or his performances were comical. Actually, there's a lot of drama in the comedies that he does. But Little Big Man stands out still as the best to me. So that's my number one. Graduate is his, that was his first big one, and it's the top one on my honorable mention list. But again, it's more everybody else's movie than it really is his. I think. So, Little Big Man. He steals the show, even with all those great actors that he's working with. He steals the show.
Yeah, definitely.
You remember what I just love that discussion by the pool. The thing that stands out about The Graduate was that whole long diatribe about the future, the man's future. What do you got to get into, son? And what's really funny is that became Bill Clinton's kind of go-to when he had nothing to talk about. He'd go into the whole thing about plastic. You remember how they talked about plastic was the future here? The plastics everywhere are going to go. Plastic. And I don't even know. Here we are. Everything's plastic. Microplastic is everywhere. So it wasn't wrong. I mean, that's the thing. I honestly feel like there's such range in Little Big Man that since then, I really haven't seen anything that really stands up to it. He's a great actor, and I love him, as a thing, but he can make you believe, in anything. Of course, you got to have Papillon on the list of short movies too, because what he did in that film was without question one of the highlights of. That made Steve McQueen's career. We didn't even know who Steve McQueen really was until after Papillon and Dustin Hoffman in that particular movie, and that whole thing. Because yes, you can go to you can believe, because Dustin is every man, right? He's us. You bring that. The best actors always bring you with them as you're just in their eyes, and he's just one of the best to do this kind of thing. But anyway, that's all I got to say. More about Dustin Hoffman. Oh, I did want to share with you all. This might be the only place, my new friends, but I do have a Dustin Hoffman moment. I have a Dustin Hoffman, the same moment I had with Sam Jackson, and the same moment I had with Weird Al Yankovic. I had a little stint in Hollywood, and I got my chance to be the fly on the wall, like the grunt guy. But we did a huge benefit concert for pediatric AIDS. It was at the Arm & Hammer a museum in downtown on Santa Monica Boulevard, just in Wilshire, if you know the area in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
And we did a big fundraiser, and I got to do some of the setups. And sure enough, Dustin Hoffman went flying by. I'm like, there he is. That was my encounter with Dustin Hoffman. He went like there, across, and boom. And then, I saw Sam Jackson. He was just being a regular guy. He just wanted to know. He was looking around, like, all this stuff, because we had all these little, like, weird setups, all the different art houses. I was a lighting company, and so I brought some lights and some fabric and made up some kind of Star Wars, deal out of nothing. And then we had another room for kids that was all, lights and a lot of day glow stuff and black light things and smoke and tubes, so the kids could just run around. And that's where I met Weird Al, and he's coming in, what? And I'm like, okay, about the lights, and here's how it works. He was very interested, very nice guy. Sam Jackson was a very nice, just a gentleman, really nice, very, very humble. Mm-hmm. So it was really neat to see these people, like in my, and I've been on some red carpet stuff too, and I really like to watch, see what these guys do. Like, how are they any different than me? Of course they're not.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're a lot smaller than you think. That's what's pretty cool. Our Tom Cruise is just a funny guy, and Ben Stiller, Ben Stiller and Tom Cruise, they're just pretty funny. But
the short guy. So is Cruise. Yeah.
And left-handed and short.
And Stallone.
I guess, I think Jon Stewart is like that too. And then, all those guys are little guys, but
cool.
Making films,
that's
had
a literal brush with friends. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Stallone is a miniature person. He is not a real person. I just saw him on this last thing. He is on every kind of Apple box you can imagine. He looks like he's 16 feet. And he couldn't get 16 feet out of nothing, that guy. Top of a Harley. But so what else you guys want to talk about? We got Graduate, obvious, right? We got this other little big man, which is really absolutely stellar. And we've got.
Well, I gotta say, my number 2 was Little Big Man. So we've already talked about that, and for all the same reasons. I flip back and forth sometimes between number 1 and number 2, but I don't know. I just personally like The Graduate just a little bit more than Little Big Man. Although everything you guys have said about it is absolutely true, and it is a great film. And
Graduate
all those reasons.
So I was born in 1960. So Graduate was definitely spin my top, man, that whole thing. And then I think I found a Playboy in my dad's, financial magazines.
Mm-hmm.
In there, and I could all of a sudden I could see the difference between the binding on a Playboy and the binding on a Forbes mag. There's difference, there's Fortune, they have all bindings, and then there's like this one weird binding that's sticking out. It's not supposed to be there. And you look at
this financial magazine has a centerfold. Wait a minute.
Oh, it's like it's light reading, and it's like that's not you. And then that whole story about like, what is sex and where is sex going and how meaningful is it? Where is the taboo?
Right. Yeah.
Can you love two women at the same time? Can you have your cake and eat it? Can you what you do in the boss, and then you're being leveraged? That was a pretty hard predicament. Can you imagine? I mean, that's basically the same type of scenario that we're talking about. Haven't really resolved it in any kind of way.
Not really. No.
Harassment is what it was. It was reverse sexual harassment. So was it cute? Was it neat that he got it early? Is it cool when a woman does it to a man, but it's not cool when it happens to a woman? Where do we draw the line? And then this equality thing is about equity. There's equity. So there's some of this thing where there's a time and place for everything, but mostly, and goes back way long ago, it's none of your damn business what I do. What we do in our bedroom together for a few minutes has nothing to do with anything.
A few minutes.
Few minutes, yeah. If you get more than that, I want to know. I want to shake your hand, man.
Well, again and again and again. But
how many times?
Give me 15 minutes.
20 minutes.
Oh, dear.
Records.
Well, interesting, because that's a good segue to my third film, which is Tootsie.
That's
Talking
right.
about sexual
No.
politics
You
and
got the
gender. This is this is a movie that's way ahead of its time in talking about, right now we're in this big brouhaha about trans people and people, in drag and what and not just about and about the role of women in society and sexuality and masculinity and femininity and what all that means. And here's Tootsie,
Hmm.
about this out of work actor who, in a moment of desperation, decides the hell with it. He's going to audition for this role on this soap opera, but he dresses up he becomes this female, or dresses up as a female, and gets the part. And right now we have this whole debate about trans women in sports, and we don't want women or men in the locker room and all this business. Well, this movie was kind of addressing something similar at the time, or similar themes, in that time period. And the way that Hoffman plays this character, the character of Jack, who has to make this transition between these two between his real self and this persona that he's putting on, and also becoming kind of aware of how women are treated in society, which he may or may not have been that aware of before. And there's this great scene. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Daphne Coleman, who like is great at playing like chauvinists. He played a similar character in 9 to 5, the chauvinist boss. Here he plays a chauvinist director who calls Hoffman's character, named Dorothy, calls her Toots or Tootsie or something, called Toots. And she stops him right there and says, "Wait a minute, no, my name is Dorothy. You called all these other men by their names, so why shouldn't you call me by my name, instead of some cutesy nickname, And she starts, or he, I guess, or starts changing a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the script, and it's a feminist movie. I mean, there's no two ways around that. It's a feminist movie, but it has a really good message. Plus, great performances from Jessica Lange, and an early performance from Gina Davis, who as well, and the wonderful Terry Garr, and Bill Murray and Daphne Coleman. Just a great cast. And Sidney Pollack was I'm sorry?
Charles Durning.
Charles Durning, yeah. And Sidney Pollack, who is a director in his own right, and who has been in other movies.
He plays the agent.
He plays the agent. God, I told you to get some therapy. So yeah.
George Gaines from Police Academy. I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. Okay, this harkens so Dustin Hoffman is a perfect choice to go back and remember what the fuck we're missing right now, what we just lost in the last 30 days. Okay, this is what's going on. Okay, what you just said. I mean, here we were. It seems like the right thing to do to be more inclusive. I don't understand why we haven't had a transgender league of sports and different things. I mean, wouldn't that be really exciting to see, some athletes of all sexuality competing together in a game of some kind?
Mm-hmm.
But does it always have to be the one that you step on your opponent's head to get to the top? Can it just be this other kind? Because in my philosophy, I go with the world game of football, of football, of associated football, of the game, which I believe is really a symbol of trust and sharing. Okay, it's about, you have to share the ball amongst yourselves as a team in order to accommodate what you want to do. And that is shown by the best teams, which are Barcelona or all of the Spanish teams or some of the Portuguese teams. But the game, the original game, is such that you would hold the ball so long that you would, mesmerize the other team. They would never even touch the ball. I've counted over 50 pass combinations with Barcelona when Lionel Messi and all the greats were playing there, you see. But so this is what we were trying to do, I believe. This was the idea of America. This is the thing which exposed, Dustin Hoffman was right there to show me the expose of how really weird and wacky the whole sexual thing is. And then he comes back with how completely insane the history of the United States is, that we were brutal and we did some horrible things, and we have really nothing to be proud of when it comes to stealing land and raping and, men and women, women and children first.
Right.
When they say women and children first, they don't mean save them. They mean attack them. Okay. Yeah. This is what you do. You go after the women and children first, and then the men will come around. Okay, whatever's left, they will do whatever it takes to keep their women and children safe. So they'll do almost anything to save that. So you can get them to do all kinds of silly things, which is what we're making Vladimir Zelensky do right now. But now bringing that forward. So that's the thing. And now you go to Tootsie, another really, that was an excellent choice, because the whole thing about the man has to wear the dress in order to make it in Hollywood, right? This is the Dave Chappelle number. Mm-hmm. That you guys? The Dave Chappelle number about wearing the dress. Okay. Well, this was absolutely Dustin Hoffman's way to wear the dress with as much dignity as you possibly could. Mm-hmm. Is he selling out to the man? He's wearing red. I mean, for God's sake. I mean, is that like a full sellout? Just tell me. I don't know. Do you have to save his career in order to make this movie? That's the kind of thing that I have been trained to watch for. So it's great, is a funny thing, and ha ha ha. I'm like, I'm not buying this crap. This is just plain racist. This is sexism. This is like ridiculous. The fact that he would have to, is this condescending or is it rising? You see, and that's what you're left with. I mean, is he condescending to be a woman? Or is he raising his game to be a woman? Of course, Dustin Hoffman, he's raising his game to be a woman. He's pulling it off, right? But I mean, what? Then, then Mrs. Doubtfire comes in, and she, that's another run for the money there, baby.
There you go. Yeah. I was going to mention that.
You got to have all those, and all the women. Okay, Milton Berle wore the dress. Okay, Milton Berle wore the wig and the dress. Okay, put the lipstick on. It's the weirdest fucking thing in Hollywood. This is part of that whole. Now, is Dustin involved with that club? I would say this is an absolute. He could have been the person following another person. I don't even know. This is weird.
Here's the thing. When Milton Berle was doing it, it was a pure, flat-out drag joke.
Right. No such thing, right?
When Hoffman did it, he actually transformed into a woman. I mean, again, it's an amazing transformation. And Robin Williams took that step again to the next level with Mrs. Doubtfire. Mm-hmm. And again, it was with more prosthetics and stuff on the face. But again, once he's the woman, you're like, wow, I would totally believe this if I saw it. It's a woman. When Burl came out, it was just drag. It was just a gag.
Come out?
Huh?
When did Tootsie come out?
Tootsie came out in, I got it right here on my phone, 1982.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I was graduating from.
Mrs. Doubtfire was a few years later, I believe.
That's my first undergraduate thing, but definitely coming out of college, interesting. But in the next decade, I was deeply into the West Hollywood scene. And took a whole nother look. And I was the man in black. I was doing lighting. I was doing wrangling. I was doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff. But I just found myself like right in the middle of some of the finest cross dressers in the country. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then of all things, this is another really interesting side note. But so Holly went to Miami FLA, was Walk on the Wild Side with Lou Reed. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Holly her name is Hollywood Lawn, and she was a transvestite that came from New York and went to Miami, mm-hmm. and became a starlet of Andy Warhol.
Right. Yeah.
His first Holly Woodlawn was the first openly transvestite person who knocked it out of the park. I mean, that person was completely the most beautiful person you could ever get next to.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's also the King song Lola,
and Lola's there, all that.
But I mean, that was early on, like late 60s, early 70s, and you hear that song and you're like, oh, okay.
But see, the thing is, it's the same thing, I guess, with Tootsie or Doubtfire. I mean, that has nothing to do with it, really. But when you're in it and you're seeing the art form and the transformation of someone who gets out of their car who looks like this, but then steps on stage and looks like that. And if you've been to Hollywood, my good friend Big Mama. Big Mama is she's a person who stands in front of bars and brings people in, because when she's there, there's a party happening. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you don't want to know about Big Mama when she's not Big Mama so much.
Right. Yeah.
There's a definite. And then, but the makeup, just the hair and the makeup, absolutely impeccable. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just an interesting choice of movies. You got another one in there?
So here's a shock. I just looked up. Mrs. Doubtfire was 11 years later. It was 1993.
There you go.
Took them 11 years to do it again with Robin Williams this time. Tootsie was my number 2. So we've already discussed it. And again, a wonderful movie. My number 3 was Rain Man.
Sure. Yeah.
That talk about an unbelievable
performance. 2 midgets. These guys are actually about the same size. Then they stand together. They could easily be brothers from another mother.
When they're coming down the escalator, they're the same height.
About 5'3", right? Like 5.
Yep. Well, it's a wonderful movie. It's a wonderful movie.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful.
Yeah. It's a great movie. Yeah.
I mean, okay, 2 top actors blowing, man, just really cranking back at each other, just going
surprisingly. Cruise holds his own, even though Hoffman is still in the scenes with Raymond. Cruise actually does a really good job in that movie, more than usual. He's not just phoning it in.
Well,
and we forget that at the time, Hoffman was the bigger star than Cruise. This is one of Cruise's early movies.
Actually,
he was coming off of So, but we look at this kid and we're like, he's going somewhere.
Well, Risky Business is what he came from, right? Like he was
right. That was the first big one, and then, actually, the first one was Taps.
Taps.
Risky Business was the one that put him on the map. Yeah.
Risky Business.
Risky Business and Taps is interesting. I mean, I did have friends who were involved with the whole military school thing. I'm an East Coaster, so I mean, I escaped New Jersey, man. Like it was all I could do to get out of the bunker. Okay, I'm sorry, guys.
Get out of Jersey, man. Get out of Jersey.
Got to get out of that stuff. I needed to say. I mean, it's cold. It's about 50, and we got to put a jacket on. Tighten up. But the point is, this is the thing. All of these movies, set my cap towards getting to Hollywood. So all the right moves. There you go. But that doesn't really step out for me. All the right moves doesn't really stand out.
But Rain Man does. So again, great performances by both of them. Gina Galina is wonderful in it. She's delightful. And it's an interesting journey. Watching Cruise actually kind of get his heart back in that film.
Right.
Realizes this is my brother, and he was put in an institution because of me, basically.
Well, again, it's understanding the spectrum things and understanding the value of spectrum people. And this is the other thing that I had a chance to do is work with some autistic musicians.
Mm-hmm.
There's a girl that I was introduced to up in. She had to live in a home because she really just could not manage anything outside. But if you put her in front of a piano, she would do 1,000 songs. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And I came up to play drums with her because I have that same thing. If I heard a song, I'll remember it forever. So I can play it beat for beat, note for note. And these other guys can't even remember where they are in the song half the time. You know what I mean? I know where it is. I know where we are. I know where you're supposed to be. I know where he's supposed to be too. So being a savant, okay. And then with Rain Man, we were like, whoa, these guys can count cards. Oh, we can make money. Like, get us. And then you want to find, so then you find people who are spectrum and you put them in the right place. It's like getting a dog, like if you've worked with dogs, you cannot make a bird dog, into something else. It's gonna, if that dog can hunt, like your terrier is not going to be a bird dog ever. My little teacup terrier is never going to be able to do that thing. But you can try. I mean, maybe it'll pull a bird down. You see a little teacup, trying to get a duck out of the water. It's just not going to happen. Okay, so it's not going to be good for anybody. But
well,
Manny, what was your number 3?
Go ahead.
My number 3 was Tootsie. We talked about Tootsie.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, my number 4. I think I'm number 4.
We're on 4.
Is Midnight Cowboy.
Okay.
You got to say, I mean, that's
Ratso Rizzo
breakthrough.
Yeah. Now, technically, yes, this is John Voight's movie. He's the lead, and he gets most of the scenes. But Hoffman, he pretty much steals the movie. I mean, really, we remember Ratso Rizzo, Rico. I want to be called Rico. And of course the "I'm walking here" line, which he totally ad-libbed because he improvised it. Yeah.
Accidentally got onto set. Yeah, a real taxi.
Yeah.
Trying to get to a location and cut through someplace, and he got onto set with I don't know how he did it, but he almost ran over Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah, but Hoffman stayed in character, and that again, that's a testament to his talent. He stayed in character, and that whole line that became like the signature line of that movie. I'm walking here, and I got to give credit to Voight as well. He didn't really, he just kind of went with it too. Like, was that supposed to happen? Because Hoffman made it seem like, that was part of the scene.
I gotta say, absolutely. If you've ever been in have you guys ever been in New York?
Yes,
I have not.
Okay, because if you haven't been in New York like at least 150,000 times, you don't know what's going on. Okay, like that's New York was my. As soon as I cut my teeth, I was stealing my family car to drive through the tunnel at 14 just to get that rush, just to be a bad boy. Yeah, I was in it. I did my little stints. You see, you remember what they said in Roseanne? It's only when you get caught that you've done something wrong. Like if you do something wrong and don't get caught, it's not doing something wrong. Okay. And I'm that kind of person, so I would do that. But no, that scene is absolutely what makes the movie New York. You can't have that if you don't have somebody banging on a car a few times during your time going just whatever into New York and just to get something going. And if somebody doesn't have a thing and slap on a car and make a big noise, then you haven't really had an experience. And the first time it happens, it's a little, but that is the thing that he did to make that unique to that spot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just realizing it now. It's like the bells in Born to Run. The glockenspiel in Born to Run is what you hear when you go to the boardwalk. You see, it's not Jersey without the glockenspiel.
Right. Yeah.
Not New York City without some temper tantrum on the top of a fucking taxi.
Yelling, yeah.
That's what we do, man. God, it's hot as shit.
Well,
and it's sweltering, and New York sucks. Okay, New York in the summer is hot and stinky and horrible, and that's just part of it.
Yeah.
What he did was a normal thing.
Yeah, exactly. So thank
you for letting me relive that too, because that's probably one of the highlights of the movie. Probably the thing you remember, because everything else is kind of dark. And it's fucking, and that's the other part of the thing too.
Yeah, well, it was one of the it was one of the first movies to receive an X rating for a lot of the nudity and the subject matter.
A little bit of nudity.
Yeah. but of course now, you know, it would be
Well, we
PG-13
lost it.
or
You see,
something.
that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the weirdest thing that we're watching through this whole thing. But moving to, I mean, the two of you and Renee, of course, thanks for all being here, because it's just ridiculous watching this whole thing completely disintegrate in front of our eyes. I mean, what we had, this is what we had. And Dustin Hoffman is going to be one of those legacy actors that reminds us what it used to be like. It's going to be that thing that that Wally watches, you know, to think of what it was like to be a human being on planet Earth, when he keeps watching that same loop of the people dancing,
Right.
lady or something, you know.
Yeah.
It's like that's what we used to look like.
Drink your shake, watch your monitor.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So I mean, that's another prophetic aspect of it. I'm surprised Dustin Hoffman didn't show up in that one too. He probably was, you know, playing, you know, Wally or what's her name, you know, Eva. Eva.
Yeah. So Rory, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is probably his best dramatic performance, and that's Kramer versus Kramer. Where he plays the father, and Meryl Streep. That kind of brought her and put her on the map.
Oh my goodness, what a film! Again, same thing. Absolutely necessary to see what goes on in this type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
How winless this is, and not win. There's no winning. You see, I tell you what, that shit. And then did you get? I've been through a divorce.
Yeah.
You know, my 39-year-old is, you know, still.
They usually side with the mother, you know, the maternal instinct, and
it didn't work out, and she sabotaged the whole thing too. That was pretty exciting.
So
but
it's
a true story.
It's only a happy ending because she, you know, felt guilty and agreed to let him, you know, have visitation at the end. But
yeah, but that didn't really happen. That doesn't happen in real life.
He really bonded with that kid.
That's the Hollywood part of it, because it really doesn't happen.
For months, that kid was my son. You know, he really bonded with that kid during that performance. So he's very emotional about that performance in his life.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What else can you tell us about it?
Again, just amazing performances by him, by the kid, actually, who I don't know if he grew up and he's still acting, or, you know, if that was just kind of a one-hit wonder kind of thing. But and of course Meryl Streep, you know. And as usual, Hoffman picks good scripts. You know, Tootsie is a great script. Rain Man is a great script. You know, Little Big Man, a fantastic script. You know, he's a smart man. And by the way, The Graduate, that was Mike Nichols, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Great script by Mike Nichols. That's how it got started. And I believe Hoffman was not the first choice, but he ended up
with Mike Nichols story too.
Lay it on us.
All out here. I was hitting, like, basically I got my bingo card of all the things, you know, I could possibly get. I met Jane Fonda at Mike Nichols' ranch. I was working at Mike Nichols' ranch.
Okay.
He has the Nichols DeLongpre Ranch. It's in Santa Barbara on the other side by Lake Kachuma. It's the most gorgeous, absolutely idyllic, huge rolling hills, and they raise Arabian horses for sale.
Oh, wow.
And I had 11 horses I had to deal with. It was a nightmare. Let me just tell you, I was able to last. It was 11 horses. I think I lasted a couple, and it was a long ride to get there, and it was a long ride to get back. Absolutely spectacular. I wouldn't give it up for a second, but man, you know, I've been around horses, and Mike Nichols was my boss. So
wow.
I don't think I ever saw him or anything. He was just a name. But Jane Fonda had her horse there, and she had a horse that had a foal. So I was there with her. Just happened to be staying out of the way, pretty much, and as Jane Fonda was. But beautiful stuff. Now, Mike Nichols. So that's about all I know.
Yeah, him and Elaine May were a comedian duo in the beginning, and they became very famous, you know, in social circles in Hollywood. Actually, New York first, I believe. Sure. And then again, Nichols started writing these incredible scripts. And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Okay.
the little boy in Kramer vs. Kramer. His
Yes.
name is Justin Henry,
Mhm.
and he did go on to do some other movies. Not as probably the only one that anybody would know is 16
Ooh.
Candles.
Okay.
Okay, I just saw one I got to talk about with you guys if we got a few more minutes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Please.
Okay. Who wasn't freaked out by Marathon Man?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Marathon Man. Okay, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. When you got into that dentist chair,
Oh,
you guys
yeah.
going out.
Lawrence
I was
Olivier.
the dentist. I had to bring that up. Did you see that movie? Did
He
you see that
stayed
movie?
away for 3 days so he would look rough when that scene came around.
Oh my god!
And it's one of the biggest, most famous stories in Hollywood. How Laurence Olivier came onto the set and saw him, and he's like, "Oh my God, you look dreadful." And he said, "Yeah, I've been up for 3 days, getting ready for this part." And he said, "Oh my dear boy, you should really try acting."
Exactly.
And that has stuck with time as being one of the great Hollywood stories about acting. Was that Hoffman's
Oh my!
his place for being a method actor?
Oh, it's so much fun.
Just tried acting. Yeah.
I don't even know. So, well, can you? Who can remember the storyline and review it for me and the rest of us that can't remember? He
I'll
was
be
somehow
honest with
involved with some kind of
all
espionage.
time since I've seen Marathon Man. The only thing that stands out for me is the dentist scene.
I
The only
know. It's
It's
some
kind
kind
of like
of
a Hitchcock thing,
yeah. It's like a little Hitchcock thing. There's some diamonds. That's the MacGuffin. I think it's basically a case of mistaken identity. Hoffman is a runner.
That's right. He starts out running. He's getting ready for the marathon, New York Marathon,
Exactly.
right? Because it's a
Exactly.
thing. Okay, that brings us together again. It's the New York. It's a thing about New York.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's a runner, and then he gets misidentified as being some kind of conspirator, and he just the wrong guy in the wrong place at the wrong time, right? And here we go.
Yes.
Exactly. And then this happens, and people stop going to the dentist for a long
Dentist,
time.
for sure. Okay, here's another one that I made. Okay,
To
this
go
one-
back to the dentist.
Okay, I'm so glad I brought this. Okay, I look at the finally. Okay, after this movie, I got into the car and I said, I hate this country. I think I'm going to be moving to fucking Russia. And my mom's like, what? I just seen Lenny.
Oh,
Became big fan of the man who died for our comedy, our comedic sins, right?
Lenny Bruce.
Not Lenny Bruce. We man, we owe him so much.
Yeah.
In terms,
without Lenny Bruce, yeah, we wouldn't have.
Can we blame him too? We can blame him, or we can praise him because he brought it down, right? Like, and there's Lenny, man. Like, if you weren't literally, I thought that was Lenny Bruce for the long. I mean, there was no better in terms of method acting. Right now, it's all coming back to me. All the great scenes are coming back to me. With him and the house and the roses, and the constantly, and then just watching him completely disintegrate. From like, oh my God, and just totally get destroyed by this government and censorship. And this what is it? It's a entitlement to tell you how to live.
Right. Yeah.
Somehow I'm entitled to tell, even in a world, in a law where everybody's individual has their own experience. No one can have two experiences the same. It's a law. But if you don't agree with me, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
But
Well, I was going to say, without Lenny Bruce, we wouldn't have had George Carlin. We wouldn't have had Richard Pryor. We wouldn't have had all these other comedians who came out and said
they owe him. Everybody owes their life to this man.
Oh yeah,
and that's no question. And who else? Oh, we got some more. Let's see.
Yeah.
Got my list here. Well, there's that.
Yeah. Well, before we get to that,
Sure.
I had originally changed my number 5, but now I'm changing it back.
Okay.
So my original number 5 is Papillon.
Of course.
Okay.
And this is just a staggering performance. And again, he's playing second banana to one of the world's greatest actors, Steve McQueen, and it's definitely his movie. He's the main character, but Hoffman's character of Degas, the money man, the guy who, you know, with the influence, he just carries this movie so beautifully, even toward the end. And the thing is that both this character and Ratso Rizzo feel almost like they're of a piece. You know, these are both there, or at least the performances. You know, these are broken men. These are men, you know, complicated men who, unfortunately, they well, you know, in Rizzo's case, you know, he has this tragic end. You know, spoilers, but he dies at the end. Sorry. But it's such, you know, it's like, it's just got so close to his dreams. And in Papillon, his character, he doesn't die, but he does give up a chance for freedom. But he realizes that, you know, the world, there's no room for him in the rest of the world anymore. You know, plus he's a little cray at the end of the movie.
Okay, but now, see, years later, and at this age, I can see this absolutely. Okay, the question is, like, so in my philosophy, it's interesting how cray for sure, or not. Maybe he's the most sane because he accepts his situation.
Maybe
He's
so.
got what he needs figured out. Remember, in the whole Earth game, we play with 5 pieces. Place to sleep tonight, water, food, that gives us energy to do stuff. And then,
all that.
As the Stoic, right, I just want to keep it simple. Just keep it. My chicken, I'm having, you know, this is where Tesla was too at the end of his days, right? He's just with his pigeons, just dealing with things that he could handle because, you know, obviously he's just completely out of his mind as well. So it's interesting because you know that our heart goes with both of them, both of the characters at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
My wife is like, why don't we just stay here? You know, and then my other heart's like, yeah, I want to go with the coconuts and see what happens. You know, I want to go get my freedom, right? Like we want to enjoy and we want to celebrate both. And then the letting go part of it is just as, I mean, that's the real moment when they come together and he says, finally, I can't be with you. Isn't that okay? Now remember, do you guys remember the book Siddhartha?
Yes.
I was talking about this, you know, and how what if Siddhartha the Christ?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, what if it was actually Jesus Christ? That's the story of Jesus Christ. He goes to Buddha and he says, I can't be with you. I've got to do my own path. Right? And Govinda is there too. He's like, I can't be with you because I've got to do my own path. Everybody has their own thing to do. You know, one is to be of service and one is to be, you know, breaking tables.
Right.
You know, and so that's the question too. Are you the hammer or are you the nail? And that puts us into the mental universe. So now the question is, well, that's what was explored finally in Papillon, obviously. You know, are you the hammer or the nail?
And they say that it's very tough to, and they address this also in the Shawshank Redemption. It's very tough for some people who have been in prison a long time to exit prison and go try to lead a normal life again. They usually end up back in prison. And in the case of James Whitmore, he ends up just hanging himself because he can't live without being what he was in prison. You know, he had a life in prison. He was somebody in prison. And then afterwards it was like, oh, geez, you know, people are treating me like.
Don't we love King Rat? Okay, everybody loves James Clavell's King Rat. I mean, same thing, right? In prison, the guy's killing it, right? Outside of prison, he's just a regular Joe.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing. So, you know, it's funny that this is the every man in every person, right? That we are all these people. And this is where it really hits us. We have to, you know, remember that, like, it's the emotional bit, is being able to emote with other people.
Yeah.
What makes us human and makes us uniquely human and makes us moving to the next level. So there's a lot of our brothers and sisters, evidently, who cannot get there yet. They cannot really. And then thanks to the actors, because the rest of us can see this, right? We can all see like how this relates to us. There's evidently a group of folks that cannot in the life of them. And then we think that maybe Elon is one of these people who cannot, all he can do is look at you and try to figure out what you're feeling. Like he has no idea how to feel. And we got to be sad about that. But I mean, hopefully the magic happens with him and he like all of a sudden becomes Carnegie at the end of his life and decides to give it all away before he dies, right? What?
You never know.
Yeah, go ahead and bet on that one.
So Rory, what's your number 5?
Midnight Cowboy. We've already talked about it, so we're already in our honorable mentions. We've discussed that one up and down, and again, Ratso Rizzo's a fantastic, iconic character. It's a very sad when he dies at the end of the movie. So close to what he was wanting. Yeah, like you said, I just want to go to Florida. I want to go to Miami.
Didn't he get on the bus? Wasn't he on the way?
Yeah,
He
on the bus. They were heading that way.
I remember this. He's already there in his mind. You see,
Joe was trying to give him what he wanted.
Already in Florida, so we can let him go.
Yeah.
And the other guy has to suffer it. Now he's got to suffer with a dead body. I mean, I have more empathy for the guy sitting there next
Joe.
To Joe. Yeah. Joe Buck. Yeah.
You now. I mean, you just end the movie. Like, what happened to Joe Buck after that? Okay, did he? Yeah. He ended up getting. Did you murder? I mean, it was crazy. It was mistaken identity. The guy was taken off.
We don't know. We don't know.
Oh shoot.
Yeah. And I got to say, you know, a really nice performance from Brenda Vaccaro. You know, she had a small role in the movie, but as the you know, he finally scores, and he set you know, she sets him up with some other of her friends, and of course,
with other
clientele, but you know, he winds up putting friendship first, you know, even though his whole intention was, hey, I'm here in the Big Apple to make all this money, but at the end he gives it all up to take care of Rizzo. So, all right. So what's your honorable mentions, Rory?
Well, we've already talked about The Graduate. We already talked about Hook. Here's a couple we haven't talked about. Dick Tracy, he plays Mumbles in that. Steals every scene he's in. He's so wonderful as Mumbles. And again, another wonderful comic performance. Just the way he says things, the way he puts the lines together, and then you get like one or two words at the end of a sentence. What are you talking about? Very, very funny. And again, that was
too funny.
Who was Dick Tracy in that? Oh geez. Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty. Thank you.
Yes,
Warren Beatty calling in favors. He was calling in everybody that he knew to be in this movie. Yeah. And they had done Ishtar together. That's on my dishonorable mention list. It's Ishtar, so bad.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
It's supposed to be. I understand, but it's still so bad. So I love Dick Tracy. I've seen it several times. It's just a great character piece, and again, it should be. Hook, amazing performance in Hook as Captain Hook. I have the movie Hero on my list. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember when I did watch it, he was very funny in that. Mm-hmm. But I can't give you specifics, unfortunately, because I didn't watch it this week. I couldn't get a copy of it in time this week.
I believe Gina Davis and Andy Garcia are in it as well.
Correct.
If I remember correctly. And he plays like a homeless guy, right? Who somehow becomes this. He does something. I forget exactly what he does.
He becomes like an advisor.
Yeah.
And that deals with politics and
just celebrity and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Very funny performance. As far as dramatic performance, Outbreak. We didn't talk about Outbreak.
Yeah.
Like I say, he chooses controversial topics in the movies that he stars in. And that, of course, is about a kind of an Ebola outbreak in America and how it's handled.
Now, I got to say, I never did see Wax. A couple of these ones, I stopped going to movies.
Yeah.
Like it was, you know, and then if it doesn't come right in front of me, and then we're kind of, I don't know, moving on. I've been married all those times.
Well, backstory on Lenny. and unfortunately, the director, I don't think did it really. He did. I don't think he did it justice. I think Hoffman's performance is good. The woman who plays his girlfriend in that, she was in Superman.
Valerie Perrine.
What's that?
Valerie Perrine.
Valerie Perrine, wonderful in that, but yeah, the director just didn't. I don't think he got it. Again, I have nothing but respect for the real Lenny Bruce. Again, for all the reasons you guys mentioned. Again, I was a stand-up comic. I'm probably going to be a stand-up comic again soon. We'll see. I'm looking to get back out on the road. But yeah, a lot of people owe a lot to Lenny Bruce for breaking down the walls, you know, of, like you say, of censorship, so you can do the act that you want to do. And we can't get through an honorable mention list without Kung Fu Panda. I love Master Shifu. I love his take on Master Shifu.
Okay, you gotta say
Kung Fu
Yeah,
Panda,
you know, again, a great ensemble cast playing those characters. It's just delightful animated entertainment, you know, a la Spielberg, and a good portion of it is Master Shifu, you know.
Well, we mentioned pretty much all of my honorable mentions except one, and that is All the President's Men.
Yeah.
I mean, Robert Redford and he as Woodward and Bernstein. I think it's a great movie.
It's a great movie. Unfortunately, as performance-wise, he's kind of invisible in it, kind of playing second fiddle to Redford.
I disagree with that, but
again, with all the performances that he's done in his life that we've talked about tonight, it just kind of got ghosted on my list.
Yeah,
I was aware of it the whole time I was making my list, and I was saying, you know, you should probably give it an honorable mention.
Yeah, no, I felt it needed to have.
But I don't want,
you know, I mean, it's
20 things on my honorable mention list.
True that, yeah. And I have one more. And this one I called it the posthumous honorable mention to honor our late Gene Hackman in Runaway Jury with John Cusack and Rachel Weisz. It's not that memorable a movie. I mean, it's not a great movie. It's a good movie. Hackman plays this fixer, this sort of jury fixer, who tries to sway juries to, you know, for very wealthy clients. And Hoffman plays I think an attorney in that one. Not one of his more memorable roles, but I just wanted to say something to commemorate and honor Mr. Hackman, who has given us a lot of wonderful roles himself. And we featured him in one of an earlier episode, in a past episode, I should say. So yeah, I just wanted to give a little shout out to Mr. Hackman, and it was, you know, he. Like I said, you know, that was one of the movies that he was in, and it was with Hoffman. So,
did they ever determine what happened to him and his wife?
No. And
I get they were there for a couple of weeks, so I get the pets passing away. But I'm wondering how the two of them passed on before they found them.
Yeah, no, they still haven't said, and I think they're keeping it. They're not keeping it a secret. It's just, I don't think there's been any.
They're not giving us all the details.
They're not giving us all the details. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it might have been, you know, carbon monoxide poisoning, but again, that's just speculation on my part. And I don't know if they've said that it was an indication of foul play or anything like that. So,
okay,
I'm sure we'll find out eventually. We'll you know, all that stuff comes out eventually. It all comes out in the wash.
And Sphere, we haven't mentioned Sphere.
Sphere, well,
for a good reason. That was my other dishonorable mention.
Yeah,
I hear the director's cut is completely different, but I have not been brave enough to go back and watch it again because
so bad.
Yeah,
I mean, for a sci-fi plot, for a sci-fi story, it had an intriguing premise, but yeah, I don't think they pulled it off well, you know. So, and yeah, I haven't seen the director's cut either, so, and it may be better. Sometimes it is. Sometimes studios tend to come in and screw things up, you know, recut things.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, so those are all that's all my my list. And
Same here. We're all done on our end.
yeah,
All right.
yeah,
You guys are
Renee?
great for letting me share with you guys and have them. This is really a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Well, it's great to have you.
well,
Renee,
yeah,
do
it's
you
awesome
have
to
a-
have you.
Stories out there. I appreciate that too. Thanks so much.
Yeah. So next week we're going to talk about a younger actress, one of the new generation of actresses, and that is Jennifer Lawrence. Will
Okay.
be our subject next week.
Miss Kat Everdeen.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Got it written down.
All
Gonna
right.
have to download a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Renee, any closing thoughts on your end?
Well, I'm excited for next week. What they call her J Law, I think, right? Is that J
J-Law.
Law? Is that, yeah?
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
very cool. Younger actress, younger generation, very cool. Dustin Hoffman, I think we gave him his flowers, as the kids say now. We gave him his propers. We gave him his honor. So we did a good job. I think he would be proud of this. So
Yeah.
thank you very much, Alanson. Fantastic.
Thanks for having me. I
As
appreciate it.
always, came
Good to
very
talk about
knowledgeable, a lot of passion. So Dustin deserved it, and he got it. So thank you guys.
Yes. Thank you, Alanson.
All right. Thank you so much. See you guys later.
All righty. And thanks for watching this episode of Two Guys and Sometimes a Gal Talking About Movies. Be sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to get future episodes.